The inventor of the PantoRouter, Matthias Wandel, designed a three-legged stool as a project for PantoRouter owners to learn new skills as they build a very useful stool with a really fun design. Matthias sells his plans on his website, or you can buy them from our site, and all of the proceeds go to Matthias. His plans include drawings and a step-by-step instruction to tackle the angled and compound angle joinery. It's a fun project to build. We first built a couple of stools according to his plans, then we modified the plan to make them taller for breakfast bar height seating. Scaling up meant changing the angles where the stretchers meet the legs, and of course making the legs longer. We also decided to make our seat triangular to match the three-legged theme. We cut our stock according to the cut list and laid out the mortises and tenons, but rather than cut our joinery in the vertical orientation, we oriented horizontally to make clamping the workpieces easier. For mortise and tenon joinery on the PantoRouter, we always start with the mortise, then size our tenons to fit. We batched out all the stretcher mortises, then moved on to the tenons. We trimmed all the tenon workpieces to the correct angle on the PantoRouter. This could have been done on the miter saw or table saw, but it was faster on the PantoRouter since we already had the angle jig set up. We laid out for the tenons, and you'll notice a portion gets cut off of each one due to the 30-degree angle we're cutting. The leg to stretcher, mortise, and tenon is a little tricky. With our first stools built according to Matthias' plans, we altered this joint by cutting horizontally. We set up the angles according to the plan, but we reversed the horizontal and vertical angles. Matthias cautions in his description that the tenon ends up not quite parallel to the sides, and this is intentional. The tenon is square to the top and bottom, but the end face of the wood is not rectangular. It's a parallelogram due to the compound miters, so the tenon isn't parallel to the side. This is easily accommodated for by a little sculpting or shaping of the stretchers. We set our 1¼ inch tenon length using the depth stop, then made our first compound angled cut. We adjusted it to a perfect fit by moving the guide bearing down the patented tapered template, and once it was all dialed in, we could cut all of our tenons for 2 stools in just a few minutes. Again, we always cut mortises before tenons, and we decided to drill holes in the seat for our leg connections, so we drilled a sample hole using a 1-inch Forstner bit. Cutting the 1-inch round tenon or integral dowel is fast and easy using the 48mm guide bearing from our monster mortise and tenon set. As usual, we used the taper on the template to dial in the fit we were looking for. Then we cut all 6 round tenons for the 2 stools. We struggled a bit getting the stretchers glued up. We would have been better off just gluing the clamping cauls to the stretchers, but we finally managed to get it stuck together. Matthias didn't bother clamping at all, which worked fine for him. We took note to improve this on our next build. Matthias works out the angles and explains the process of building this stool in his plans, and we enjoyed the process so much that we decided to modify the design for taller bar height stools, which we'll show in part 2 of this 3-legged stool video series. Part 2 also shows how we modified one of our templates to work in a non-standard configuration and how we drilled and glued the seat with no measuring. If you build this stool from Matthias' plans, or if you modify the design to suit your own style, we'd love to see pictures. Please send them by email so we can share with others. Happy PantoRouting!